All right, all right. We are live. We are live. Listen, welcome tonight, y'all. Welcome to Deal or No Deal Live. Okay, we're going to be reviewing some deals tonight. I hope you guys are ready to go. Hope you're ready to rock and roll because tonight it's all about helping you to understand how to review real estate deals, right? So, what I'm going to do is I've got a deal I'm looking at right now, and I'm actually going to peel back the curtains. I'm going to review the deal live with you so you get to see how to analyze deals, how to run comps, and then, of course, how to come up with an offer. And so the details that I have is I know that this seller is motivated. So if you were here last week, I talked about the importance and the value of making sure that you are working with leads and with homeowners who are motivated, right? That's number one. So before we get into looking at any deals, before we get into analyzing any properties, before we get into any of that stuff, we need to make sure that the actual seller of the property is motivated. Now, what is a motivated seller? A motivated seller is any property owner who has a need to sell and has made a decision to do so. In other words, they actually have a really good reason that they need to get rid of the property, but they also have already decided that they are going to do it no matter what. They're going to get rid of the house or land, and now it's just a matter of how they're going to do it and at what price. So I just want to be very, very, very clear that we cover that base number one because um, it's not the best use of our time reviewing deals when our seller does not need to sell, or even worse, they don't even want to sell, right? So I know I've seen in my business, in the experience that I've had in this industry, starting since 2016, and in my journey helping others and assisting other real estate professionals since 2019, I have seen many, many, many new people getting started, and when they get started, I've seen many people. They'll have like their list of properties that they're pursuing, and then before they even call the homeowner or reach out to them or market to them, they are literally like trying to figure out the numbers, trying to see what's going on in the area, trying to come up with what their offer is, and they haven't even discovered if the person is truly actually motivated. So I want to make sure that before we dive into anything, that we establish the fact that we need to make sure that the homeowner that we're dealing with or property owner we're dealing with is indeed motivated, so that way it's worth our time. All right, so now that we're past that, right, I want to go ahead and get into the deal that I got for us tonight. So this deal is a deal I'm looking at actually right in Central Florida where I'm at. And this particular homeowner is asking $275,000 cash for this property. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to review properties utilizing a simple tool that everyone has access to. You have access to it. The entire world has access to it. And I'm going to be showing you how to do it. And it's absolutely free, which is the best part. I'm going to be showing you how to evaluate deals utilizing Zillow.com. Okay? So I'm going to do my screen share here, and we're going to go over this property. All right? So be prepared to take notes. Be ready to take lots of notes. Okay, you're going to learn a whole lot here. Let me pull up this property, and then now let me share my screen. Where are we here? Here we go. Here we go. Let me get back to my Zoom. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Okay, here we go. We'll do screen share. Boom. All right. So now we're on it. All right. So this is the property here. Let me just put on my focus real quick. Do not disturb. So this is the property right here. Let me get myself out of the way. So this is the property we're working with tonight. Okay. We're working with this house right here. It's a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. Now the seller of this house is looking to get $275,000 for this home. That's what they're asking. They're asking $275,000 for this home. This house is going to be a rehab. It's in average shape. What does that mean? It means that it's going to need a cosmetic, full-on cosmetic update and maybe a few extra things. And so I'm going to first off look at some comps, and then I'm going to determine what I can actually pay for this property. But my goal, now that I have, I know what the seller wants. My goal right now is to see if I can actually get them what they want. Why? Because at the end of the day, if their price is a great price, there's not much negotiating we need to do. We just need to move forward with the process because they're motivated. They need to sell. They want to do it. They made a decision to do it. So now all I've got to do is make sure that my price aligns with their price, right? And that may not be the case. And if it isn't, then that's where we got to negotiate, all right? So to get started, we just need to look up some comparables. So here I am on Zillow right here. I've got the house pulled up. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 1.5 bath, 1,800 square feet. Zillow is the estimate on Zillow is at $327,900. Let's see what else we can find here. Let's scroll down. Single family, built in 1970. All right, masonry type home. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just looking at the details. Just trying to get a full glimpse of what this house looks like. This is how much they bought it for in 1970. They bought it for $17,000. It's in a great area, great schools. All right, we got these nearby homes here, but these aren't sold comps, so we don't care about that right now. So here's what I'm gonna do: copy this address, pop it into Zillow, because I want Zillow to zero in on the house for me. Right. So here's our house right here. See where it's at? So what I'm gonna do, it's right behind the Koi Wan Hibachi Buffet. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go out to my map. Here's our Koi Wan Hibachi Buffet. If I zoom in close enough, Zillow's actually gonna show me. Where this house is at, which is right here. So why is this important? Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw a radius around this property. Now I know this area. Okay, this is my market, so I definitely know the area, right? So I'm gonna draw around this area right here. It is important that we stay within a half-mile radius of our subject property when we're looking at comps, right? And so this is what I drew. I drew a little circle around it. Now this might not be exactly a half mile, okay? But I know that home values in this pocket tend to be similar, right? So now I got 2 houses here that are active listings. Okay, so that's important information when reviewing properties. It is valuable to look at active listings. However, the most important information we need is what's actually been sold, right? Now, active listings gives us a glimpse as to what's happening right now, so we can take on the mindset and have an understanding of how the property could potentially perform if it was on the market right now in its best shape, which is good. That's a good thing to look at. But what we need to see first is what has recently sold. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna filter out my filters: 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom. I'm sorry, 3-bedroom, 1 bathroom or more, house, single family, perfect. Okay, square footage. This house is 1,800 square feet, so I've got my parameters set between 1,500 to 2,000, so that's good. And I'm looking back 90 days, so that's good as well. All right. Now here's the other thing I'm looking at. If I come back here down to my house, where is it? It's right here. Can't really see it, but this house does not have a pool. That's an important factor, right? Because we want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. All right, so what comps do we got here? This is in the past 90 days. 4 comps in the past 90 days, 3-bedroom, in a similar size. That's a pretty good amount of comps to get within the last 90 days, especially considering how the market has been here. And so if I'm looking through here, I see at the very top, we see this house that sold for $425,000. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,600 square feet, okay? Pool home, There's the pool. So what does this tell us? This tells us that a pool home in this area, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,600 square feet, sold for $425,000. Right now, when did this actually take place? We know that it took place in the last 90 days, but when in the last 90 days? And how did it perform? So this house went up August 8th, 2025. Okay, and it went pending in less than 2 weeks. That is super fast. It went pending in less than 2 weeks and sold slightly below the asking price at $425. All right, so this is a good idea. What this tells me right now is that for pool homes back here, 400,000 is reasonable, right? We got this house here at 392. Let's see what we got here at 392. So first thing I'm looking for, this looks like a renovated home as well. First thing I'm looking for here is I want to see if it's got a pool. No pool. Okay, so this one is closer to our property, right? This one doesn't have a pool. Great. This one sold for $392. Let's see how it performed on the market. Just looking at some of the details here. Charming, newly renovated home. This is what we want to see, right? So after repair value stands for after repair value, right? Fully renovated, tip-top dollar. That's what ARV stands for. So right now, what we're doing is we're looking at these comps. Wow, they wrote a long description. What we're doing right now is we're looking at these comps so we can determine what the ARV would look like for our subject property, right? So that way we can then, once we have the ARV, we can then do our math to figure out how much we need to offer or what is our max that we need to offer for the deal to be a good deal and for us to make some money, all right? So with that being said, let's look here at the performance of this property. So this property was listed for sale September 16th for $415,000. Looks like after it was listed for sale, they had to drop the price a couple of times. Price dropped it, and it finally went pending October 20th, which was about a month later. So it took longer to sell, longer to go pending than the other home. Took a month to do it, and they had to drop it 25 grand before finally getting somebody who bought it at 392. So what is this telling me? It's telling me that the market's asking for 4, right? But the market is rewarding homes, 3-bedroom homes back here without a pool, fully renovated. And this was a 3-3. So it's got a third bathroom. So the market rewarded a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home with no pool, fully renovated at $392,000. They tried to get the 415. They couldn't get the 415. They sat and they waited a while, and then finally they settled at 392. I don't think that's a bad price. I think that's pretty good for this area, and I think they did a good job. All right, so now let's go back and look at this. They bought this for $250,000 in June. So this was a flip, right? This was a flip. So whoever did this house here, they bought the house, renovated the home, flipped it, sold it quick, right? And did it in literally less than 6 months. Awesome. All right, so let's do this. We got our first most reasonable comp in comparison to our property. All right, now I want you to keep something in mind. Let's think about the differences here, right? Because the whole name of the game is apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So this house is slightly different than our home. Our home has 1.5 baths. Okay, so this house has 1.5 more baths than our home, but our home is slightly larger. So I believe that there is some compensation there going on. Now let's go down to the next home. This is a sponsored ad, so we'll skip that one. So the next home here is for $392. $392. This house right here. Let's see. Is it a pool home? It's in between 2 pool homes, but it is not a pool home. No pool. Perfect. So this is a great comp for our home. All right, so now let's scroll down here and let's see if we can see what the description looks like. All right, beautiful porcelain tiles, wood burning fireplace, wood look laminate flooring. Okay, so they redid the floors in laminate. Vinyl fence. Updated white kitchen, stainless steel appliances. How about the countertops? Okay, they don't say much about a countertop. So this house might not have been done up full luxury. I actually do want to see if I can get fortunate enough to get some photos on this house. I do want to see what this will look like, or what it did look like when it sold. Let's see if we can find some photos. Let's see if we can find some photos on it. No. Try realtor.com. No. Let's see. Let's try. I don't think we're going to find photos on it, unfortunately. Nope. All right, so unfortunately, no photos. It is what it is. But this is giving us another idea here. 392. 392. This is what it sold for. So it sold for the same price as our other home that was a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom at 1,600 square feet. This one here sold at the same price. Now get this. This house was originally listed in March. So this house took longer to sell. But why did it take so much longer to sell while our other home sold in literally a month? Well, let's look at it. This house was originally listed. Oh, wow, it took longer than that. Look at this. My goodness. So this last time it was sold was August of 2022. They went on the market November 16th of last year. That was a year ago. They had this thing. They tried to sell this house a year ago at $430,000, and look what happened. Market was not rewarding it. Market was not rewarding it. Market was not rewarding it. Market's not rewarding it. Then they tried to get it for $450 in February of earlier this year. Market did not reward it. Market did not reward it. No, no, no. Until finally, notice it never even went pending. You notice this? Not one contract was placed on this house. Now it didn't go pending one time until they finally got down to the $399 price, and then they sold at $392. Okay? What is it saying? The market is not rewarding a 3-bedroom house without a pool above $400,000. We have 2 houses that are showing this right now. We got one house that was beautifully renovated, which is this one right here. All right, the 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom for $1,688, and we got this house, which is a half bath smaller. However, a whole bath smaller. However, it's 1,800 square feet, which our house is that size, right? Let's go back to our home. Look at the size of our home, 1,820 with the half bath. All right. So this is a great comp right here. It's a great comp that we got right there that really is showing us what's going on here. So I gotta draw my circle all over again. Give me 1 second here. Draw my little parameter. May not be exact. I might have a few extra comps in here now. That's okay. So 425, we got this one for 419 now. 392 again. I'm just curious to look at this 419. It's too far away, but I'm just curious to see if it's a pool home or not. Nope, not a pool home. And look how far this is from our house. So this house is here, and our house is down here. All right, so similar community, but different neighborhoods. All right. Still a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,600 square feet. Let's see. Let's see what they did here. Move-in ready. Everything is just 7 years old. So they remodeled the entire home 7 years ago. Okay. This was sold for $419. All right. So that's a one-off. But our solid comps, 392, 392 again. Here's one for 350. Is it a pool home? No, it's not. Perfect. This one sold for 350. New lighting fixtures, fresh paint, new carpet, new tile, 2-car garage. Built in 1960. Well-maintained 3-bedroom. What does that tell me? Well, it tells me that the house is probably not fully modernized as far as the cosmetic renovations. It's probably not fully modernized, right? But it did put a new roof on it. HVAC is new. Septic system was done in 2020. So it's you know it's got solid bones. Fresh paint, new carpet, new bathroom cabinets, sinks, toilets, fixtures. Countertops have been replaced with granite. Okay, that's good. That's good. Too many updates to mention. All right, so this house here sold for $350. Let's see when it sold. It sold September 12th of this year. It was listed for sale May 15th. Okay, so it took about 4 months to sell. That's not. It's a bit lengthy, but it's not the worst thing. But why? The reason why looks like is price, and it may just have been the time that they went up on the market, because they sold it for $10,000 less, which isn't that much of a gap. All right, cool. So we see what's going on there. Let's move on to the next house. Let me use my map here. I want to get closer to where our house is at. So we got this one here for $350, and that's one we looked at. Great. We got this one here for $278. This is like the lowest comp that we have. Highest and best. Fixer upper. All right, so this is a fixer upper house. Sold at, where's the price at? Hold on one second. Sold at $278. So a fixer upper sold at $278. What we can't see though is we can't see its condition, right? We don't know what the photos look like. We don't know how much work it needed. We don't know if it needed a roof, plumbing, HVAC. But what we do know is that it sold for $278. And it sold for $278 in October. So that's just recently. Okay, so it gives us an idea, right? So at the very bottom is $278. $350 is like mid, right? But $390 is that top. Okay, great. This is enough comps for us to be able to start to define what price our house could sell for. So I believe that $390 is the top of the market for a house, and because the houses that sold at $390 was a $3.3 and a $3.2, I feel like we should be slightly below $390 because our house is a $3.1.5. Does that make sense? So that being said, I'm going to take the price per square foot. We got 232, 217, and I'll take this one too. 232, I mean. Where's my calculator? Here we go. 232 plus 217, and what's the last one? 232. We end up with 681. Divide that by 3. We're at 227. Multiply that by 1820. We're at 413,140. So according to price per square foot is saying this house should sell for over 400,000. However, we have just acknowledged the fact that houses that sell over 400,000 are usually pool homes. Now, here's the other thing that we need to look at, right? Because recently sold comps tell us about the history of the home. But we also need to pay attention to what the market is doing right now and what the market is rewarding or could potentially reward right now. What do I mean? Well, the market's changing. We have been stepping into a market that's been pulling back in Florida, especially in Central Florida. So the price of a home today is going to be different 6 months from now. And we're in a pattern where, you know, instead of prices going up right now, it's taking houses longer for them to sell on the market, like the house that we saw that they were trying to sell for a year. And then prices are starting to come down because homeowners are starting to drop their price in order to sell quickly. So with that being said, as an investor, putting on my investor hat, I may not want to be too optimistic as to what the house could sell for 6 months from now. We want to be a little bit more conservative in this market, right? So let me look at what's for sale. Because why are we looking at what's for sale? Because the houses that are listed up for sale are listed by real estate agents, right? Now, what is a real estate agent's job? A real estate agent's job is to help if they're a listing agent, it is to help their seller get the best price and the fastest sale. And most of the time, the best price tends to be the more important thing when it comes to homes that are listed on the market, which is why they are listed on the market. This is why a homeowner will be willing to pay 6% to a real estate agent to sell their home, is because they're going to get more on the open market than they will get off market. All right. With that being said, let's see what we got. We got 4 comps here, 4 properties that are currently listed for sale, have not sold yet. They're just listed for sale. So let's see what we got. We got one here at 454. What is this? Just trying to see if it's a pool home, and it is. Oh, this house is decked out. Ooh, look at that. So pool house. Here's another pool house, y'all, listed up for sale. 454. What was the price that we had for the one comp, the one pool house comp that we had? 425. And it was a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, just like this house. This house, in my opinion, might be overpriced. It might be overpriced. But let's see. Let's see how it's been performing. All right, so this person bought for $325 in 2020. Great. They listed up for sale for $400. They tried to get $490,000 for this. And look, y'all, has the house went pending yet? Type yes or no in the chat. Type yes or no in the chat. Has it went pending yet? No, right? No. Okay, so that's because the market is not what? The market's not rewarding a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home, pool home for $490,000. They're overpriced. What we saw is that the market's rewarding a pool home for a 3-bedroom pool home for $425,000. That's the price it's rewarding for this type of home. So they're overpriced. And clearly we can see that because they've been dropping their price down consistently. They've had this listed up for 3 months now, and it still has not sold. I bet if I call this agent up, they probably still have not gotten an offer yet. It's a beautiful home, though. It's a beautiful home, well done. It's got a fire pit. It's got nice landscaping, beautiful pool. Bathroom and laundry rooms decent. Kitchen, it's nice. It's nice. Definitely on the higher end. Very nice, clean home. I'd consider it modern. Not modern luxury though, but modern. It's a nice home. All right, so 454, way too high. All right, how about this one here? 425. Let's see what we're working with here. So this here almost looks like it's new construction. They did a really great job on this house. I'm going to check to see if it is new construction, because they did a wonderful job renovating this home. So look, so this is luxury modern. This is luxury modern finish. In my honest opinion, they should have did the floors better, but that's just my opinion. That doesn't matter in this case. My opinion doesn't matter. What matters are the numbers. All right, so everything else is pretty basic about the house. Bathrooms and kitchen is beautiful, so they did a great job there. Barn doors, beautiful. Wow, is that a sunroom? I think it's huge. That's nice. They're beautiful. They got a bar back here. Great. So definitely a house built for entertainment. 1-car garage, 2-car carport. Let's see if it's got a pool. No pool. What did we say about the market rewarding 3 bedrooms with no pools, right? We said that number is at 392. So let's see how this is performing. Oh, it just got listed. So this has not been up here long enough for us to make a determination. It's been up here for about a month. Haven't went pending, but it hasn't had enough time on the market yet to make a determination on that. All right, so let's keep going to the next one. 348. Now I want to be clear as to why I'm doing this, right? Why am I looking at all of these active comps? Why am I looking at the active comps? Because again, we're putting ourselves in the mindset of an investor. Here's the question I have for you. If you were to buy this home at whatever price that made sense, and you did the renovations, everything's done, and then you want to go sell the house. My question for you is, what do you think will help you to sell the house faster? Listing the home underneath, on the lower end of the spectrum of your competition, or on the higher end of the spectrum of your competition? In other words, are you gonna hop in the market at a higher price than all the rest of your competition, or would you rather come on the market at a lower price than the rest of your competition? Which one of those options will guarantee you a faster sale? Right? The lower option. Why? Because you got a great product for less than what your competition is selling it for, which gives your buyer more incentive to go with you, right? And so, with that being said, let's take a look at this house. 342, 348. So I'm doing some recon right now. So if I were to buy this house and list it on the market and sell it, I want to see what my competition looks like, so I can justify the price, that my target price that I want to sell it for. Anything that is above that, like let's say for instance, I'm like, okay, well, we'll get to this in a minute, but just as an example, let's say I determine, I'd want to sell this house for $375,000 on the market. At that price, I know for a fact it's going to fly off the shelf, because three bedroom homes that are nice, decked out, they're selling for $390. These are actual sold comps that show me they sell for $390. So if I come on the market at $375, I have a competitive price, but I'm still also bringing that quality product to the market. Okay? So what I'm looking at now is does that sound reasonable based on the other options that my buyers have? All right, so now with that being said, let's take a look at this house. So this one here is listed for $348. They just did an $11,000 price cut. Nice wood floors. It's a basic house. So this, yeah, basic, mid. This is totally a mid. It's a clean home, but I mean, it's so outdated, right? And look how outdated that is. That's so outdated. So if a buyer wanted to buy this house, and maybe they like the floor plan, maybe they like the area, maybe they like the character, but they don't like the kitchen, they don't like the bathroom, they're gonna have to come in and they're gonna have to put more money into this house to get it to that modernized look. So 348, considering that homes sell at 390 is not a bad price. Not a bad price for someone who might want to do that. I still think it's a little high, because at 1696 square feet, to get it up to where it would need to be, that's at least $20 a square foot. I mean, that's another $35,000 going into this house easily. And that's a lot of money to ask a buyer to put in after they paid you $348, because $348 plus $34,000 is gonna put you at, that's late, y'all. 348. That's gonna put you at 381, which is right underneath that 390 price. However, when you consider resale fees, holding costs, and all of that, there's no money to be made, right? So I still think that this house is a bit too high on the spectrum as far as the price. Now, one cool thing is that I thought it was on the pond. It's not on the pond. So, yeah. And it's got an interesting floor plan, to say the least. Okay, so one other thing I want to look at is how long it's been listed for. It's been listed for 38 days, so over a month. Has it ever went pending? No. Never went pending. All right, on to the next. This is the last one that's available for $299. 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom at $299. 10 days, it just got listed on the market, so not enough data for us to make any kind of determination. But here's what we do know. It's on the lower end of the spectrum. This house must need work. Provide an opportunity to purchase both properties and build your dream home. Really? So there's another property. This property in the adjoining listing. Provide an opportunity to purchase both properties. So let me see. I'm trying to get a map. Let me see this for $299. Okay. So They've got this house, and then they own the lot behind it. So if somebody wanted to buy this, they could buy both of these and then build something back here. And that's what they're saying. But as far as this listing goes right here, it's just this little house right there. That's what's being sold. All right, that's what this is. Okay, cool. Now that we're clear on that, oh, we got photos. Great. So let's see what kind of condition this in. Super outdated, right? Total fixer upper. Total fixer upper. Absolute fixer upper. No doubt about it. Okay, so on the bottom of the spectrum, $299. All right. Okay, so we got enough information here. So based on what we've discovered, here's what we know so far. We know that the market has rewarded 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes at $390,000 that do not have a pool. We know that to be a fact. Our house is 3 bedrooms and 1.5 bath, but it's got a nice good size. So when we did our math on the price per square foot, we ended up at $415,000 as an ARV. However, based on what I'm seeing from what the market has to offer and from the actual comps that actually sold, I feel that listing the house and selling it at $375 is a much better, more conservative ARV. And then when the actual listing takes place, listing it and shooting for that $390. Okay, but then you have this margin to work with in case you're wrong and you need to sell it very quickly. Okay, so with that being said, we need to base our numbers around what? 375, right? Okay. Now that we have our number 375, this house is 1,820 square feet. I saw the photos of this house. As I mentioned before, this house is going to need a full cosmetic job. All right, full cosmetic job. It's not like horrible, but cosmetically needs to be done. So we're going to do it at $30 a square foot. That's going to run us about $54,000. We're going to round up to the nearest 5,000. So $55,000, right? So I'm going to take my ARV. Here's how we're going to do the math. ARV minus 30%. All right, the 30% is the cost of your resale fees as well as a profit margin, okay, when the flip is over. All right, we're down to $262, and then we got to subtract our cost of renovation. That's $55,000. We're down to $207. Now, I'm gonna wholesale this deal, right? If you're gonna wholesale a deal, now this is where you got to put in your fee. Okay, so let's say we want to make $10,000. That would mean that at my max, as a max, I would have to pick this house up for $197,000. Okay, now, if I want to be optimistic, let's say that, man, you know what? The homeowner's really trying to work with me. They don't want 197, but they're like, hey, if we can make it work at 210, look, we got a deal. All right, so cool. So I got plenty of comps to show me 390 is not a bad price as an ARV. So I'm gonna take 390, subtract 30%, subtract 55K, subtract my 10K, and we're close. I'm at 208. I'm at 208. So if I picked it up for 210, it's not as great as of a deal as 197, because with 197 we mitigated risk, right? But again, we're gonna wholesale it. At the end of the day, the risk is gonna fall upon the buyer that's going to actually flip the house, and that buyer may be able to get their work done for less than $55,000. They may do the renovations for $40 and be able to compensate for the difference in price. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is, if it absolutely came down to the wire, I'm not opposed to still taking the house under contract at 210 or somewhere close to 208, maybe 205, and even if it's not 197. But 197 is really where I want to be at. At that price, the house will, I know for a fact, the house will fly off the shelf. I'm not going to be holding that house for long, and it's going to be a quick deal. All right. Okay, so now that we have some numbers, right? The question I have for you is, based on what we've looked at, is this house at the price is $275, which is what the seller is asking for? Is this house a deal or no deal? Is it a deal or no deal? Type it in the chat. Is it a deal or no deal? Is it a deal or no deal? At $275, is this house a deal or no deal? Would you pay $275,000 for this house with the idea of flipping the home? All right. If you believe it's a deal, type deal in the chat. If you believe it's not a deal, okay, type no deal in the chat. What do you believe? What do you think? Deal or no deal? No deal. Absolutely. This is not a deal at $275. No. We need to get it for $197,000 and not a penny more than $208,000. That's it. So whenever we're looking at real estate opportunities, this is what we should be doing. We need to look at, and this is for wholesalers, y'all. This is for my wholesalers out there, right? So we did not review this deal as a rental deal. We didn't do that because we didn't look at any rental comps or anything like that. We didn't look at appreciation or nothing like that. We could do that, right? But the purpose of this, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm looking to help more wholesalers, more beginner investors who are either flipping houses or wholesaling real estate. I'm looking to help you be able to do your numbers properly, because this is the thing that's going to make or break your deal. You have to be able to identify demand. You have to be able to identify the right price, and you have to be able to identify the likelihood of your house actually selling for what you think it's going to sell for. And so this is the whole point of me doing deal or no deal. Is hopefully I'm helping you become more educated as to what you can do and what to do to be able to identify whether or not the property you're working with is actually a deal or it's not. And hey, one day you can utilize this information for your own investment properties. Okay, so that way one day you can do your own real estate investment deals. But if for right now you're just wholesaling, that's great too. Get your quick money, get out, get in and out, okay? And so I hope that this has been helpful for you. Remember, even more importantly than the numbers themselves is the fact that the homeowner actually needs to sell and has made a decision to sell. If you're interested in learning more information about how to wholesale real estate, if you're learning to get to sharpen your skills, you want more tips, you want to get more educated on real estate investing, all you got to do is subscribe to my channel, right? Like this video, subscribe to my channel. I've got tons of videos breaking down how to get started in real estate investing without any risk, zero risk, okay? Without having great credit, you don't need that, and without having a ton of money, through the power of flipping contracts, also known as wholesaling, all right? So subscribe to my channel, check out the videos there, start learning, start earning, and I hope that the time that we spent together tonight has been valuable for you. I hope that you learned something, and most importantly, I hope that you take it, utilize it, put it to action so it can work